Hello and welcome to SAP Learning Academy, and in this tutorial today I will be telling you about how can we pass input parameter from one calculation view to a procedure, or it is also called as parameter binding. It means that suppose we have some input parameter that has been used in some calculation view, and we are going to pass the parameter in the procedure, so that we can have the understanding of what is called the parameter binding. So I will be telling you about the basics, the need of the scenario, and the syntax, and the most important thing is that the example or different use cases, so that we can have understanding of how can we use or how can we pass the input parameter to a procedure. So let me tell you the basics. So as I told that, now using this parameter binding, it is possible to pass parameters from a procedure or scripted calculation view, to a parameterized column view, so such as graphical calculation view or scripted calculation view. So I believe when you will be seeing the example, then you can have a total understanding how can we use this. And now we are coming to the syntax. So I have written one example down below. So let me just go copy and paste up here. So this is how the syntax look like. So let me describe what does that mean. The placeholder that you have to put here, so because that placeholder is used, it is a command that is used for placeholder parameter. It means suppose you are using a calculation view, and after that you are using a wrapper procedure. It means where you are actually using this procedure, and this value, this client value, this field is coming from the calculation view, and this one in client, it is coming from your procedure, where you are using that. So let me come to the example, I think, which will be much better thing in order to understand this part. So below here I have written a copy procedure, a example procedure, so where you can have the understanding. So I do have more example which I'll be showing you. So if you see here, uh, this my proc caller, so it is the wrapper procedure which is calling another calculation view, and here the calculation view is cal view. So so here I have used input variable as inclined, in currency, and output as output my tab t. So now, so here we are reading the data from calculation view, and how we are passing the variable, and we have to put the command called placeholder, and then this sign, the dollar sign, and then client, and this input variable, it is taking the data. This in client is the value of this procedure, this input parameter, and this currency is the mandatory variable of this calculation view. So we are just reading the data from the calculation view, and based on my input in the procedure. So this is one very vital example, and by which you can have a good understanding of what is this. And also I do have more example in the calculation view, because if I want to show you some more example, suppose so let me give you more cases. Yeah, like you want to read from a, suppose you have a calculation view called cal view. So that's but suppose you want to read from this cal view for some uh, client. So let me write a small calculation view. Suppose you are select suppose country, and from suppose this is my calculation view, and the calculation view will have some schema. Suppose if I tell anything like sysbic or something like that, and so using that, you are having one calculation view, suppose. Okay, so in this one I will be showing you how to read from the calculation view by passing some input parameter. And now you want to suppose you have a field called plant. So how can you suppose you have multiple plants, for this in this calculation view, like 1000, 1000, 2000. So you want to read data for particular, you want to hard code the data in the variable. So how can you do that? So you need to write like placeholder, and then you have to put inverted comma here, and then you have to give the equal sign, then this dollar sign again. Let me show you the syntax so you will have the understanding. Suppose you have a plant is the field here, which you want to actually take the data. Now 1000, suppose. Yep. So by this you are actually hard coding the plan value with 1000. So this calculation view, suppose this calculation view has multiple plans in the data, and you are actually taking data for 1000. So this is the way, this is the another case in CLV. And I do have another case, this is CLV1, suppose, in the case number 1, CLV case number 1. Now I have another example for CLV case number 2. Suppose you do not want to hard code the value. Suppose you want to make it dynamic, right? So there's a lot of scenario where we need to use the dynamic variable. So how can you do that? So for that, so I want to show you, suppose mm, or maybe we can take this example right up here as the dynamic variable, because here the value of any client can be different, right? So it is not hard coded, so that so this example can be useful in the CLV as well. But also we can write an example like here. Now we can just simply copy and paste in here, and we can show you that suppose you want to do you don't want to hard code. So what you're going to do, suppose you have a field called plant, and then which is, now I'm just removing this, and suppose, or equal to plant. So here let me tell you the difference in that. So this plant, this value of plant comes from this calculation view, and this one is used in the other, and this is the case for the script based calculation view. And let me tell you, and here it will be like a var out equal to this, and then it will end with this. And here you need to define this plant. This plant comes from your this script based calculation view. And here you need to define the plan in your parameter. So unless you define that, it won't work, because the plan value, this which is within this dollar sign, it comes from the calculation view, and the variable you define called plan, you need to define in the variable section also of this script based calculation view. So I believe you have understood this part, and here we have mainly talked about the how can we pass the input parameter to of the calculation view to a procedure, and we have talked about the placeholder, what is the uses of this placeholder, and then we showed some example. I believe those are the examples are very important to understand the importance of this. Passing a parameter. I hope you have understood this part, and please see my other videos, and if you haven't subscribed my channel, please do so, and thanks for watching this video.